Shalom. If you want to review and see more content, like, comment, subscribe. Children of the Promise. We'll get you together. Shalom.
Let's look at the purpose of proving. Go to Sirach 27. The purpose of proving. So we know the purpose of proving when it goes to what the scripture say, prove a friend. How do you prove a friend? The scripture say you will know your friend in adversity. You won't know a friend in prosperity. When would you know who's your friend? In adversity. It's the same thing with the Most High. When He's proving us, you only go prove to the Most High that you is His child in adversity. That's it. That's the purpose of the proving stage. If your back always knuckle up when you in your trials and tribulation, then the Most High don't trust you. So guess what? If He dealing with you, He gotta keep jacking you up. You gotta go through the same thing over and over and over and over again until your back gets stronger. Let's get some more. Go to the purpose of proving. Sirach 27. Here's verse 5.
Sirach chapter 27 and verse 5. The furnace proveth the potter's vessel.
It say the furnace proved the potter's vessel. So the potters, the clay, what proves the vessel that the potters make their clay in? It's the furnace. The fire. Go ahead.
So the trial of man is in his reason.
It's the same thing with the trial of man. The trial of man, that's what's going to prove you. Same thing. It's the same reasoning compared to how the furnace proves the vessel. Your trial proves the person. A person trial proves him. How do they handle pressure? How do they handle when their back is against the wall? Do they nut up? And the Most High is always proving you. And if you're not passing, you just gonna be in a loop. We be in the loop when we steady failing. Let's get some more. Let's get a quick story. Go to Joshua, the story of Joshua. Go to Joshua 23. Joshua 23. Let's see what happened to our people during Joshua time. Joshua 23, start at 1.
Joshua chapter 23 and verse 1. And it came to pass, a long time after that, the Lord had given rest unto Israel from all their enemies round about, that Joshua waxed old and stricken in age.
So Joshua led us to the land of Canaan, and he conquered them. We conquered them and took their land. Now Joshua was old. Go ahead.
And Joshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age.
Go ahead.
And ye have seen all that the Lord your God hath done unto all these nations because of you.
He says, now you see what God did of all these heathens because of you. Go ahead.
For the Lord your God is he that hath fought for you.
Go ahead.
Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes from Jordan, with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward.
Watch what he said, verse 5.
And the Lord your God, he shall expel them before you, and drive them from out of your sight, and ye shall possess their land, as the Lord your God hath promised unto you.
So he said, there's still some nations left though in the land. But if you continue to walk, do good in the sight of God, the Most High gonna take them out from among you. Go ahead.
Joshua 23 and verse 6. Be ye therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left.
Jump to 11.
Verse 11. Take good heed therefore unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God.
Go ahead.
Else, if ye do in any wise go back and cleave unto the raiment of these
He
nations,
said, if you go back and cleave to these nations, go ahead.
even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you,
Go ahead.
know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land, which the Lord your God hath given you.
So I want y'all to pay attention to this. The Most High used Joshua to defeat a lot of nations so they can get the land. But he left a few nations there. He left, the Most High purposely left a few nations there. And Joshua was warning them, saying, these nations can be snares onto you. They can be traps. Why would the Most High do that? Why would he leave nations to be snares and traps for the nation of Israel? Let's see why. Go to Judges chapter 2. Let's see why he did that. Judges chapter 2.
Judges chapter 2 and verse 1. And an angel...
So at this time, Joshua is dead. Go ahead.
And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim, and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you.
Go ahead.
And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land.
And you shall make no covenants with the people left in this land. Go ahead.
Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this?
So, when you read Judges 1 and the rest of Joshua, they started, the nations that was left, they did start making, serving their gods. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their God shall be a snare unto you.
So he said, I didn't drive them out because he wanted them to be a snare. He wanted them to be a snare in their sides, a thorn in their sides, and a snare, and their gods to be a snare for you. Why would the Most High do that? He left certain nations there just to be a snare to the children of Israel. Let's see why. Go jump over to verse 17.
Chapter 17.
Verse 17.
Judges chapter 2 and verse 17. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked.
So what happened was that they set up judges. The Most High set up judges because Joshua was gone, so he set up judges. So they didn't even listen to the judges. Go ahead.
obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so.
They did not so. Go ahead.
And when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judges, and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord because of their groaning, by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them.
So he still saved them. Go ahead, verse 19.
And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers.
So when that judge died, they went back with these same nations. Go ahead.
In following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. And he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died.
He said, I won't drive out these nations that Joshua left. Why?
Verse 22. That through them I may prove Israel.
But that through them, he going to do what?
That through them I may prove Israel.
He left those nations to prove Israel. That's the same thing he do in your life. The Most High is just, after we come to the knowledge of we have to keep the commandments and the faith of Christ, He's not just going to fix everything. You still have your infirmities. You still have the things that you struggle with. So guess what? The Most High going to leave those things that agitate your infirmities in your life. Why? Because he still have to prove you. When you reborn, your infirmities don't just magically disappear. You have to fight. You have to fight and go through your walk. So guess what? Everything that agitates your infirmities gonna still be in your life. If you lack patience, everything that aids your patience, still in your life. Lust, whatever. Anger, everything that your infirmities, that agitate your infirmities, the Most High gonna leave them in your life. Just how he left those nations. He could have used Joshua and he could have killed all the nations. But he left some. Why did he leave them? Read 22 again.
Judges chapter 2 and verse 22. That through them I may prove Israel, whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein, as their fathers did keep it, or not.
So he's saying to, how do you know if you pass? Is if you keep the commandments during your trials and tribulations. That's the point of your trials and tribulations. If you go through your trials and tribulations and you can't keep the commandments during those times, fail. Nothing getting fixed in your life. Because you still need that in your life to fix it. We wonder why we go in circles. Because when the time gets hard, you still don't walk in the way of the Most High. You can only do that in prosperity. We can only keep the commandments. We can only do the works of faith when we in prosperity. But when trials and tribulation comes, fail. And this is going throughout all Israel right now. This is going throughout all Israel because the belief is not there. Jump to chapter 3, start read verse 1.
Judges chapter 3 and verse 1. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them.
Now he's finna name the nations that I left that he's going to use to prove them. Go ahead.
Even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least, such as before knew nothing thereof.
This who he left. Go ahead.
Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines.
The Philistines had 5 lords. Go ahead.
And all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites, that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Bahamon unto the entering of Hamath.
And what was the purpose of that? Verse 4.
And they were to prove Israel by them.
That was what?
And they were to prove Israel by them.
These nations was left to prove Israel, go ahead,
to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses.
Fail. That's the gauge of pass and fail in your tribulation. If you put the commandments behind you during your trials and tribulation, fail. You're going to have the same problem next week, next month, next year. Because you continue to fail. He purposely leaves these things in our life. To build you up. He purposely leaves them in our life. And that story right there is proof. The Most High know what He's doing. He know you better than what you know yourself. Go to Exodus 16. Start at 1.
Exodus chapter 16 and verse 1. And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month, after their departing out of the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness.
Chapter 4.
Verse 4. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain every day, that I may prove them, whether they will walk in my law or no.
He's purposely doing things to prove the children of Israel, to see when the fire comes, is you going to walk in my law or no. Go to Deuteronomy 8. Read verse 1 and 2.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 1. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thy heart.
Would you see that? To know what was in thy heart. Remember we read all those scriptures? Search my heart. See where my mind is. Prove me. Try my heart. Go ahead.
whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no.
So he's trying to see if he's searching, proving your heart, trying your heart to see if you can keep the commandments in prosperity and adversity. That's what it meant by if any man draw back. The Most High don't give a damn if you can keep the commandments when stuff is going right. He don't give a damn about that. The only time, I ain't gonna say the only time, but the most important time you need to be strong in the commandments is when you in your trials and tribulation. Because that's when you proving yourself to God.
Verse 3. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live.
Verse 4.
Thy raiment wax not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years.
So he had them walking around for 40 years in the same clothes. The clothes didn't even get dirty or nothing. The feet didn't swell up. He said, yeah, I'm gonna keep your feet good. I'm gonna keep these clothes you got on good. And you gonna keep walking around until you humble yourself. The feet didn't swell or nothing. Them 140, they walked in circles for 40 years in the same clothes and no bunions on their feet. Because the Lord made sure. Verse 5.
Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee.
So he was chastising them. That was affliction, having them walking around. That's why when you in your trials and tribulation, you can still operate. You still go to work. You still pay. You still do all your things, considering what your affliction is, because the Most High is leaving it like that. But guess what? Don't get fixed. Whatever your problem is, whatever your trial and tribulation is, that ain't gonna never get fixed. That part don't never get fixed. He gonna make sure of it. And we wonder why we have the same issue going on and on and on and on. It's because our faith is jacked up. Because it said when you believe, you can keep the commandments no matter what. When you truly believe, you can keep the commandments. Verse 5 again.
Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 5. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee.
Go ahead.
Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to fear him.
So that's chastisement. The trial and tribulation, meaning you born it. You born that trial and tribulation because of your infirmities. So that's going to force you to get them infirmities stronger. Go to Judges 8. And then guess what? At the same time you going through your infirmities, guess what? Everybody's watching. Everybody else is watching. Everybody else is watching to see What you gonna do? Why is that important? Why is that important that everybody else is watching you in your trials and tribulation? How you respond? Why is that important to everybody else? Read this, Judah 8:24.
You said verse 24.
24.
Verse 24. Now therefore, O brethren, let us shew an example to our brethren.
So it said, let us show an example to our brethren. Why?
Because their hearts depend upon us.
Because what?
Because their hearts depend upon us.
Because your brothers and your sister hearts depend on you. So it say, let us show a good example. Because their hearts depend on us. It don't just affect you. Read that again.
Judah chapter 8 verse 24. Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example to our brethren, because their hearts depend upon us, and the sanctuary, and the house, and the altar rest upon us.
Let's say the sanctuary, the house, and the altar rest upon us. Go ahead.
Moreover, let us give thanks to the Lord our God, which trieth us.
It said, let us give thanks to God for trying us, meaning proving us, trying our hearts. Because when he, in Judah, she's praising him for trying us because we went through our trials and we passed them. And that led to a good example for our brethren. So when you in your trials and you failing, you messing up the hearts of your brothers, your sisters, and people that's outside the truth as well. That's when you get the I told you so's. I told you. So he said, thank God for trying us. Read 30:25 again.
Jude chapter 8 verse 25. Moreover, let us give thanks to the Lord our God, which trieth us, even as he did our fathers.
So this ain't nothing new. He tried our fathers. Go ahead.
Moreover, let us give thanks to the Lord our God, which trieth us, even as he did our fathers. Remember what things he did to Abraham, and how he tried Isaac, and what happened to Jacob and Mesopotamia of Syria, which he kept the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother.
Go ahead.
For he hath not tried us in the fire, as he did them.
He said he tried us. That's how like he tried our fathers. But he didn't try us as bad as he did them. The stuff that we cry about today, our forefathers will laugh at you. We walking around here acting like we can't keep the commandments because of what we going through. They will laugh at you. There is nothing new under the sun. They was going through wars. Read that 27 again.
For he hath not tried us in the fire, as he did them, for examination of their hearts. Neither hath he taken vengeance on us, but the Lord doth scourge them that come near unto him, to admonish them.
So if you come in near to God, he's going to scourge you. He's going to scourge you. Let's look at Abraham. Go to Sirach 44. Sirach 44:19.
Sirach chapter 44 verse 19. Abraham was a great father of many people, and glory was there none like unto him. who kept the law of the Most High, and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh. And when he was proved, he was found faithful.
To say when he was proved, he was found faithful. That's what you want to be, found faithful every time you've been proved. Why is he proving you? To see if you're going to keep the commandments or not. That's what he's proving you for. If you don't keep the commandments while you've been proved, guess what? Circles in the wilderness. Back to chapter 3. Start at 4.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and verse 4. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is there a hope full of immortality.
Go ahead.
And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded, for God proved them and found them worthy of himself.
It said, though they was a little chastised, they're going to be greatly rewarded because God proved them and found them worthy. This is how the Most High should look at you. We make the same mistakes a million times and then wonder why. It's when you make those mistakes and that trial comes, the justice or the judgment come from that mistake. Be diligent to keep the commandments when the judgment comes. Be more diligent to serve the Most High, to walk in His commandments when that judgment comes. Because when that judgment comes, that's Him being proved. That's Him testing you. He's not going to tempt you. He's going to test you. And looking at the scriptures, we know exactly why. To see if we going to keep the commandments during adversity. That's how you can tell who's your friend. If they still can be your friend in adversity, it's the same thing in the Most High. You can still be obedient in adversity, in affliction. He don't give a damn about you keeping the commandments in prosperity. Don't give a damn about that. Verse 6.
Verse 6. As gold in the furnace hath he tried them, and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation,
the Most High is visiting you every trial. The Bible called that visitation. When you going through hard times, that's the Most High visiting you. It said in the time of their visitation,
they shall shine.
They do what?
They shall shine.
They shine. That's when you shine. In the time of your judgment. You don't draw back. You shine.